soon, right? And I'm going to say, first off, it's I'm glad to be here. And yeah, like I met someone saying the weekend is gone already. Yeah, it's been a very long week, but I'm glad to be here. So today we're going to be having conversations. Actually, we're not going to do the whole someone is taking us through it, then we are just waiting for it to enter or hit some spot, right? So we're going to actually we're going to look at it together, use perspectives that is very familiar with everybody, and yeah, learn one or two while we're at it. So yeah, I think this is where I share my screen, right? Okay, good. Yeah, I'm going to do that now. Please let me know if you have my screen. Can anyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right. So let's see. You can still see my screen like this, right? Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
More like in a slideshow, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm just gonna start with anyone. I don't want to call name. I don't know any name to call, but when you hear APIs, what first comes to your mind? Like based on the way you read developers, I don't know assume everyone here is a product person or a project person or someone who wants to become a product person. So you'd had at one time or the other have this experience with product developers, and they would have thrown the word APIs around. Have you ever had the experience? Have you ever had them throw the word around?
Okay, so let me try. If I fail, everyone will just laugh at me, and that's it.
Nobody's gonna laugh at you. Actually, truth is, when you say it wrong, you're not gonna say it wrong the next time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. So I know the full meaning of API is application programming interface, right? And
Okay.
what I know, as in how it functions, in my own little understanding, is that it functions in a mirror kind of way. For instance, now, if you look at the mirror, for instance, every single thing you do, right, is also replicated by the mirror. So the same thing is also applicable to API. Whatever information you throw into the system is exactly how it's going to replicate it probably from the back end. I don't know if that's a very good idea.
Keep at it. I'm with you.
Yeah. So that's just a brief understanding of API that I have.
Does anybody have a counter? Okay, nobody has a counter. So now let's go to this. This is the textbook definition of an API. An API is a set of rules, protocols, and tools that define how software components should interact with each other. It provides a standardized way for different software systems to communicate and exchange data. Sound like gibberish, right? Please, I need you to respond as I ask this. Right? It sounds like gibberish, right?
Sort of.
Can anyone hear?
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
Right. Wait. What screen are you guys seeing at this time?
Your first screen, relevance of APIs.
Why is that? How about now?
Yes.
Yes, we're seeing the second slide.
We are seeing the second slide. Okay, good. Yeah. I don't know why the slideshow is not going, so we're gonna just go with this. All right, great. So now, should I read that again? Does that sit? So I have two illustrations I can play around with here. So basically, over time, I've learned to explain technical terms with simple English, which makes it more relatable. So I'm going to ask, I can illustrate with using a toy. Oh, I should read it again. Great. So An API is a set of rules, or their set of rules, protocols, and tools that define how software components should interact with each other. It provides a standardized way for different software systems to communicate and exchange data. And trust me, that sounds like big English. Now, I'm not saying I have two illustrations I could play around with you guys, which is I can illustrate with a toy for a kid, or illustrate with you going to a restaurant to eat. Which should we go with? Again, this has to be interactive because I want to learn from you as much as you want to learn from me.
I think restaurant sounds very interesting.
So you like food?
Great. Toy, please.
Okay, great. I'm not your friend. So imagine you are in a restaurant, right? And you want to order food from the menu. You know, you could easily just walk up to them and tell them, oh, this is what I want, and this is how you want them to cook it for you, especially if you walk into a 5-star restaurant, right?
Yep.
And that could take you a lot of time because you have to stand up from where you are, where you're supposed to enjoy the ambience and all, right? But instead, imagine you now have a waiter. You know, the waiter comes, bring the menu to you, attends to you, give you pleasantries, make you feel like the king that you are, and all of those things. Then they take your order and take it to the chef to prepare for you, right? Mm-hmm. Now, in this scenario, the waiter is an API. Now, the chef is the web service or the web application that wants to provide you with certain functions, or you want to retrieve a particular data from, right? Your chef is who you are collecting elements, you're collecting resources from. The waiter is who helps you to go collect that resource. So basically, the API acts as the bridge between you, the user, or the customer, or the client, or the person that walks in with his babe or with his friends to come and take what's the name called, to come and enjoy the services at that restaurant. And the chef who is providing with what you want, who is giving you the value for your money, is the web service you're calling into. So they allow you to request for specific items. They have it in their menu. So you want seafood okra, you want basmati rice, you want I almost said basmati. Now you want Chinese rice, or whatever it is you want. Someone takes that request, which is the API in this case now, takes your request to where you're getting the request to be answered from, which in this case is the chef. Mind you, you're already in the environment. So take the restaurant as the application itself. Do you understand? So now the waiter takes your order, which is the API, communicates it with the chef, and brings back the food to you. And that's the same way the API works. So the API takes your request, communicates with the web service or the web server, and brings back information or perform any task you want. It performs any operation you want. The truth, on daily basis, we interact with APIs, but we are seemingly not very, very familiar with the fact that this is an API. Take, for instance, do you know that for every time you open your mobile app and you want to check your account balance from your mobile app, irrespective of the bank you're calling, the moment you're pressing that button to query your account balance, something somewhere which is an API is what you are calling to say, retrieve my account balance for me, or retrieve this person's account name, or based on this account number. So I'm giving you an account number of 01 yada yada yada, and I'm saying this is the bank, Access Bank, right? So the moment you're querying it in on your application to load the person's name, it is calling an API to say, guy, can you carry this request to this end point for me, or to this place for me, and bring back this particular resource from this person instead of having me to go do it myself as an application. Am I still talking tech, or am I still doing English? Yeah, no, this
Makes sense.
This place seems so quiet. Do you get the point?
You're making sense.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, great. So basically, that is how an API works. So if you look at what we have here now, what we have here says API provides standardized way for developers to access and use features and capabilities of a software system without needing to understand the underlying implementation. So now, for instance, you'd have heard of gateways. Have anybody had experience with gateways? They'll tell you we're using a third-party gateway, we're using we're connecting to Paystack, for instance. Have anybody, we are product managers here, let's talk. Has anybody built an e-commerce product here? E-commerce or any solution that you had to plug to an external body? Anybody?
Not yet.
Anybody? No one at all.
Yes, I have.
You have. God bless you. Now, who did you work with? What resource did you use an external party for?
Paystack.
Is it payment?
Yeah, for payments.
You
Paystack.
use Paystack. Now, do you know anything about Paystack's source code?
No, I do not.
Do you know who wrote the code?
No.
But they gave you an endpoint or a payload or whatever it is, right? At the point, they gave you an endpoint at the point where you're integrating, right? Now, you do not know who wrote that code. You don't even know who wrote the endpoint, right? Am I still communicating with you?
Yes.
But they gave it to you for you to be able to consume it in your own product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, they give you what we call documentation, right?
Yes.
All you did was copy and paste.
That's right.
Did you know who wrote those things you copied and paste?
No.
But were you able to use the thing that is intended for that particular line of code to do? Was he able to do it?
Yes, it was.
That is the beauty of APIs. So imagine you're the one that have to write that, or your team was the one that have to write the code that performs that operation. In years, you're still building the product. You agree with me, right?
Yes.
But someone has built it. They now make it open for you to say, okay, at this particular fee, or if it's open source, but at this particular fee, take this endpoint, put it in your code. It will do what you want to do for you. And when you put it, does it do what you want it to do or not?
It does.
Was people able to make payment on your product or not?
Yes, they were.
And did they remit to you?
Yes, they did.
But again, do you understand the underlying technology, or did you understand the details to making that happen?
No, I did not understand the details.
But you were able to use it. That is what API does. That is what API does in simple English. It's the bridge between you and the solution you're looking for. It's the bridge between you and whatever web solution you're looking for. So imagine it is you and your team that had to build the resource that you got from. Did it take you a year to get that thing from Paystack? How long did it take you when they verified your people's company information or not?
Less than 24 hours.
God bless you. Now, would you have written, or you and your developers, would you have written that in 24 hours? Let's say you people want to even do, now we are breaking Guinness Book of Record in Nigeria every day now. The book is already done. Now, imagine you have to take it on with your team. Do you think it's something you guys could finish in less than 24 hours?
No.
But the API did it for you. So all you needed was to copy that code and paste it in that pen. Put you guys' own endpoint, put you guys' parameters, and they will give you keys and all of those things to work with, and you're good. Right?
Yeah.
Now, the beauty is API allows, or it plays a crucial role in enabling integration. So we don't have to stress. Developers don't have to take long time, hours, days, months, in particularly building a solution where I could have someone I could call on to help me retrieve that solution because someone has built it. Now, don't get it wrong. Most times, it depends on the ecosystem you're working in or the particular organization you're working in. Some of us have to deal with creating APIs. Some have to deal with consuming APIs as product people. It doesn't mean you that you are consuming it, you're being lazy. It doesn't mean those that are creating it are hardworking. It just means that we have different markets. Do you understand? So from a business point of view, you could be working in an organization where you guys have to create the APIs, excuse me, for people to plug into. And you can work in organizations where you guys need to consume APIs for you to be able to satisfy your customers or your users or your clients. Irrespective of who your user base is, as long as they are able to do the operations that your product is saying it is doing for them, then trust me, you have a product that is going to work. The truth is, you are not going to be able to build every endpoint or every APIs or every gateway you need for your product. Hence the reason why a lot of people are there that have done the work for you to plug into. Imagine Google is getting all the information is getting by itself based on some people that have built. So all of the information that is coming for every time you make a search is coming from Google's database. Imagine that is happening. Can you picture the workload? I was in a session last week and I was telling them, we were talking about ChatGPT and the likes, and I told them, do you know why ChatGPT is so limited? It's because they trained the ChatGPT 3, right? It was trained completely as at 2021 December. If you go on ChatGPT now and type, who is the president of Nigeria? I will tell you it is Muhammad Buhari. But is Buhari our, what's the name called? President? No. Tinubu is our president now. But the only reason why the guy is saying Buhari is because it is only giving you information from its trained model. But Google, on the other hand, is calling for information from everywhere. So it's plugging into multiple sources. And it's not Google that is doing it itself. That's why we have Google Cloud services. They are not doing it themselves. They have the ability to call endpoints. They have ability to call these informations. They have ability to call on these different portals to say, I need this info. And that system, once they call the request, it brings it back to them. Take this as the initial definition they will give you in those days when they're talking about LAN and WAN. If you remember wide area network, local area network from those days, they tell you local area network is intranet, right, between one or two computers that are close to each other to share resources. But when I want to tell you about wide area network, they say it's one computer here that is calling to one computer in the United States, which is a server, and that one is bringing it back to the client, yada, yada, yada. Take API as that. Take API as the guy that carries your request for you to get it solved and bring you the information. What you're pertinent to about, what you're concerned with, is the result that comes from it. So API is what bridges that interface, that gap. Is the one that stands in the gap and say, give me your request. You go and source from the answer from you from that pointed place. Now, APIs are specific. If you want an answer from, let's say, I don't know, let me look at the name of people that I have here. So let's say I have Blessing here, and I have Ugona. I'm just looking at it, and I have Abby. Now, let's say the API I have is to fetch resources from Blessing. It's only going to fetch resources from Blessing for me. If I want to fetch resources from Ugona, I need an API that is that I'm going to plug into my own product to source me, to get me resources from Ugona. And the same thing is applicable to Abi and Kunle and Fatima, like that. And that's the beauty of APIs. So it is specific. Just that the number of information Blessing has will not be the same that Ugona has. And the one that Ugona has will not be the same as Abi. But they are all resources. They are all info that I would need to improve my product. They are infos that I would need to make, or resource that I need to make my product better. So they call onto it, get it from me, and voila, everybody is happy. So I don't take years trying to say, okay, let me train Blessing to have all the resources that Ugona has and Abi has, and I want to put them inside Blessing's head. It probably would bust. Is this still making sense? Is this still making sense?
Yes, for me.
Yes, it is.
Someone is raising hand, please. So because I can't get to toggle between here and there, I would just want you to, you can ask your question, don't worry, I'll pause. Is there a question? Should we move on?
I think we should move on and take the questions at the end of the
Oh, great, great.
presentation.
Thank you. That's Blessing, right? No.
Yes, it is.
No, thank you. Thank you, Blessing. So now, APIs are essential for modern software development as they enable interoperability, reusability, and integration between different systems. Now, they allow developers to leverage existing services and build upon them, saving time and effort in development. We've talked about this. APIs have become an integral part of building connected applications. And that's the truth. They are widely used in different domains, from web to OS to mobile app to cloud to IoT, name it. Because the resource, we have a wide bank of resources. And we, not one person can just call to all of them. Do you understand? So along the line, what we tend to do is, let us leverage someone that has collected that resource. Let us collect from someone that has it. It's just like sharing. So you have it, I'm able to collect from you to use it in my own space. And that is what APIs does for you in simple English. But in technical term, this is still the definition, which is set of rules, protocols, and tools that define how software components should interact with each other. Does that make sense? Great. Now, APIs can be categorized into different categories based on their purpose and functionality. Now, we have the web APIs, we have REST APIs, we have operating system APIs, we have SOAP APIs, we have library and framework APIs. Now, REST APIs are the most popular. They are the ones you would have seen, I know at some point, someplace, somehow, somewhere here, you'd have seen RESTful APIs. And it would have confused you. True or false? Hello?
Yep.
And you would have been like, which one is restful again? Which API is stressing and which one is rest? Now, REST or RESTful APIs means representational state transfer APIs. And I'm going to explain that in a bit. Basically, they are the ones that we get to work with the most because they work with HTTP methods. You know what HTTP methods are, right? Hello?
No.
You would have heard of it. Okay, but do you know, you've heard of HTTP, you've seen it somewhere.
Yes.
Now, HTTP method are the one we use in building web services. So every HTTP is the web protocol we have. It's hypertext transfer protocol. It is the web protocol we have. It is the guy that allows you to be able to access the internet. Like, that's the protocol in charge of the internet. The same way we have SMTP for you to send mails or messages and chats. The same way we have HTTP. Do you understand? We have FTP for file transfer. HTTP for web. So REST APIs are architectural, or is the architectural styles for designing network applications. So they are the ones that we are using to develop HTTP methods. They are the APIs in fact. So you would have seen, we'll get to it in a bit though, where I'm showing you a lot of that, right? But REST APIs, just have this at the back of your mind, like REST APIs is the most popular, right? And they are mostly called when we are using HTTP methods. They are mostly used for web services. So most times when you see some API listings. For instance, when maybe wherever you're working with, you have access to a dev portal. Then you're looking at the list of APIs you have. Then you're saying REST in bracket at the front of it. REST in bracket. What they are definitely telling you is all of these APIs are used for web products. Do you understand? Now we have web APIs. Web APIs are used to communicate between web-based systems or services. So basically, say for instance, now you are exposing HTTP. How do I don't want to explain this using technical term. How do I explain this? Okay, look at it from this angle. REST APIs are the guys that we use for web services, right? So when you see REST APIs, you know that they are what's the name called now? They are APIs that you are using on a web application, right? Now, web APIs on the other hand are APIs that you use in developing the web application. Mark, you don't scatter am.
Hi, Mark.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if I'm speaking for everyone. I think we're not seeing what you're presenting, and we seeing it is going to help us create a visual representation of what you're talking about. I don't know if everyone agrees with what I said.
You're not seeing what exactly? You want an image.
You're stuck on the second slide.
Yeah, just on the second slide, and that's
Are you serious? No.
Yeah.
Like this. Can you see my screen now?
We can see your screen, but
Yes.
you're stuck on the second slide.
What up like this?
Yes.
Yeah, it's still the second slide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that API is a set of rules, protocol, and so on. That's where.
No. Sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
Hold on, let me stop sharing. Sorry, it's old age. Okay. How about now? What can you see?
It's worse now. We can only see the icon of PowerPoints, I think.
What's wrong with my system? I think my system is freezing. Hold on for me, please. Stop sharing. Okay. I think my system just froze. Give me a minute.
Maybe you should just exit the call and join again.
Yeah, I think that. Hold on. It's not even allowing me. What was this? So let me just do the hard reboot on this. It's going to take a minute, less than a minute, anyways.
All right, guys. So while we wait for Mark to get back into the session, if you have questions, please just drop them in the chat box. I believe that most of us will have questions, right? And yes, we can just put them in the chat box, right? Let's just type our questions in the chat box so that it's going to be easy when we want to start taking questions, because once it comes back, you just take the questions. Of course, he would be looking to round up, obviously, right, at one point or the other after I must have finished his presentation. Right, so please drop your questions in the chat box so that it can be attended to. And I hope that you guys are learning from this session. And I believe that, Mark is doing justice to the whole API. We understanding APIs, right, to be able to know the relevance of these APIs to us as product managers, right? So yeah, if you have questions, once again, please drop them in the chat box. We would get to it when it's time for us to take questions. But for now, we're just going to wait for Mark to get back into the session. And for those typing their questions, great.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. Like, I'm seriously sorry about that.
That's
Okay.
fine. Are you back now?
I think so. Let's
Okay.
see. Yeah. Just 1 minute. Okay, good. All right. I'm trying to share. Please, if you can see my screen, let me know. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Like this. I like this. Please tell me what you can see. Because I'm in
We can.
API.
It's stuck
What is
on the
going?
home on Microsoft, on your
You know,
Microsoft
let me just
home
use a browser.
page.
Don't worry. Let me just use a browser. So I think the
Okay.
entirety of this Google
App.
Meet app is messing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's, let's
Is Mark still on the call? Maybe Mark should just go ahead. Then we would get the slides later. Or what do you think?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Instead of us, wasting time.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Okay. Mark, can you hear me? Okay, I think Mark left again. So when it's probably back, we'll just go ahead with the session. Then we would fill in, because I would definitely want to go back to this session, because is really should I call it experimental, because it's breaking it down in a very interesting and understandable way. So even when I get the slides, I want to I want to watch the video, the recording side by side with the slide that Mark is going to provide. So I think the slide will just be shared to us later. Okay, we'll just wait for Mark to get back in. Right. Sorry about the breaking transmission, guys. Just waiting for Mark to get back so that we can go ahead. Okay, I just want to put this out there for those that's just joining the call. Right. We have like a little. All right, Mark is back. Hi, Mark.
So I think my system is trying to update.
Okay,
Right.
you know
I
what?
don't. I've
We're
sent
looking
this
at it.
slide. I've sent the
Yeah, we
slide
were
already.
looking at it that you should just go ahead without sharing the
No, I've
slide.
even shared this slide. You can.
No, no,
I shared it.
like sharing your screen right now on the call.
Uh, I
Yeah.
can't even
So
access my system, so I just pushed
oh,
the. I pushed the slide to Olabanji already, so you
okay,
can
okay.
share for
Laban
me.
is going to share for us, right?
Yeah, so I can just use my
Okay, okay,
system. Again,
okay. Let's
everybody,
just
my apologies. So,
right.
and this is
Anything can
to
happen. This is
to
technical.
tell you that people that will tell you that a MacBook does not hang, it does.
Oh wow.
I'm a living witness.
This is
So
the first time
please,
I've
if
experienced
Banji,
MacBook hang, sha.
yeah, I think it's trying to update. I think it's trying to
Right.
update. I don't want to
Um.
assume that it's not. I don't want to assume that it's micro and Google that has a problem. So where I stopped was I was trying to explain God. Okay. I was trying to explain the difference between a web API and or trying to show you who the REST API is and what a web API is, right? And I was trying to talk about the okay. Olabanji said he's sharing shortly. I was trying to talk about the relativity between them and all, right? But basically, what I was the point I was trying to drive was, I really wish you guys can see it. RESTful APIs are used as, okay, thank you. Now, go to the next slide, please. Great. This is where we were. So, yeah. So, we're talking about, no, just next it has already messed me up. So, don't worry about it. Yeah, you can just leave it as slideshow and press the forward. It had animations before. It was supposed to come in different sections, but I was saying it myself. You have to go to the previous slide. Actually, we're on the third slide, because where we listed the different type of APIs that we have. Yeah, so we mentioned the REST, and I was saying REST APIs. What I said was, REST APIs are APIs that we use in a web application or a web service. Now, web APIs are the ones that are used to build that REST APIs that we use. Mark, you don't scatter around again. Do you get it? Should I say that again?
Yes, please.
Okay, good. Now, take, for instance, good. You're driving a car. For your car to move, you need tires, right? So take tires as your web APIs. They are the element that will roll the car. Now, inside the car, there are engines, right? Now, there are pedals, there are gears. Now, take gear as your REST API. Now, the tire is there, it's going to work, right? But if you do not put the gear to drive or reverse, it's not going to move to the front or to the back. Do you get it? Do you get that illustration?
Yeah.
So REST APIs are used on web services. So say HTTP, that was where I was talking about HTTP methods. So you're going to see all of those. So all of those APIs that, when we were talking about Paystack earlier, all of those APIs that Paystack provided you, they are REST APIs. Now, those REST APIs were written using some APIs also, which are what we call the web APIs. So, and those technologies, and that one, they use technology like JSON, XML, and the likes. Then we have SOAP APIs, Simple Object Access Protocol. So SOAP API uses XML also. But the difference is they are more complex than REST APIs. So a lot of people don't use them. They will only use them in complex systems. Then we have OS APIs. I don't think I should explain that. For building OS services, file management, control panels, all of those things. Then we have library and framework APIs. You would have had one way or the other, you would have pressed, if you're using Windows here, when you were using Windows, or anybody that was using Windows before they started using Mac, at some point you would have pressed MSS D something on Windows to take you to Microsoft services, or you would have want to use one app on your phone, or you want to install one app on your Windows system, and it's telling you .NET API not .NET framework not installed. Please install something framework.NET. Do you have an experience? I'm just talking my own. Has anybody seen that when they are installing a particular application and it's saying it's not working because one API and one framework is not working or is not available? Anybody?
Yes, I have.
Okay, good. That those frameworks are used or are called using some APIs that we call the library APIs, and they are built using .NET methods of protocols. Do you understand? So we have different APIs, but the most popular ones, the ones you would see the most as a product person, are REST APIs. And don't forget, everything you want to use in REST APIs are built using web APIs. Please, next slide. You will understand that now. Next slide, sir. Now, okay. Among the various type of APIs, REST APIs are widely used, like I explained, because of their simplicity. REST APIs and SOAP APIs, they are brothers and sisters, maybe different father, same father, different mother. But REST APIs are not as complex as SOAP APIs. So their simplicity, scalability, and compatibility with HTTP. You will agree with me that most product people, or most of us here, we only deal with web products. Most of our products are web products. Do you have anybody building standalone products using the team you're working with here? We have people like that, right? They're not just plenty. And those are the guys that consume library and framework APIs the most. But most of us here would do e-commerce, edutech, fintech, agri-tech, which other tech again? Do you understand? And most of them are web services. They are things that people would need in the internet to make access of. So most of your developers are going to be using the REST APIs. Now, they leverage the standard methods, the get, the post, the put, the delete. Now, who are these four guys? To perform the different resources. Now, I said it earlier that REST APIs use JSON and XML, extensive markup language, and JavaScript object notation. That's what JSON means anyways. You'd have seen it somewhere. You would not know what it means. You would not even know what they are using it for. You just see it passively. But these formats are what REST API is used to exchange information or exchange data. Because they are light, they can make transmitting data very, very simple from a client to a server system. Now, the idea is get APIs as simple functions, things you could relate with, things you could see. And most of these things, if you're a consumer product manager or you're an enterprise product manager, you may not necessarily deal with things like this. You may not even see it. You may not even know it, because your own is to make sure that the products you're building solve customer needs. But if you're a technical product manager, right, aside from you solving customer needs, you want to understand how these customer needs are being solved. You want to understand what is, there's a thing in Yoruba that they say is someone that is behind something that is making it to cry. You want to see what is behind who is making this one or this service happen. And trust me, while it seems like consumer PMs and enterprise PMs are the guys that sit in business meetings, technical PMs are the guys that actually make the meeting happen. Because if there is no product, or if the product are not calling to the endpoints, or they are not calling to the different points to get information as they are supposed to call to, you will not have a meeting to sit with. And for you as a technical person, or for a technical PM, you would need to have a very good understanding of what the product need is. Now, you understand the product need, you understand the business need, you look for a common ground, sync them, then look for an API alongside your developer that solves them. So your developer is talking to you. You understand what you're saying. Again, you don't even need to write code. You're not writing the code. You don't even know how to. You necessarily may not be able to write a hello word in PHP. PHP is even far. You will not be able to write hello word in HTML. But you understand when you see some key things like post, put, delete, get. In simple English, right? All of this means what you think it means. But when it comes to the point of methods, to the point of command, to the point of terminology, they do the same function you know them to do in real life. But the difference is, if you notice, they are written in block letters because you're making them a command to say, this is what we are calling into. So when you see this particular payload, or you see this line, the particular payload, you know that, okay, this thing is to collect information, this thing is to delete information. The line of code, the entirety of this line of code is to add information to this particular database or to this particular page or to this particular component, whatever the case may be. Do you understand? So basically, REST APIs just make your life easier. They've built it already. You're just calling to them. They are the most popular. So basically, it's attributed to simplicity, scalability, compatibility, wide adoption. Even your developers are happy when they see REST APIs because it's something they are very, very familiar with. It's something they know, something they've seen. So it's not too complex for them. And what this thing does is it brings all your web services into a particular basket and you have access to them. So you as a product person, where does this come into play? How does this affect you? How do you relate to this? It means, okay, we want to do this. For instance, let me use banking, for instance. Now let's say in the bank, we want you come to me and you say, oh Mark, I'm building a fintech product and I want it to be able to I want users to be able to transfer from their account to another account using my app. And I also want them to be able to request for loan. I want them to be able to I want them to be able to do inter and intra bank transfer. Oh, great. The first thing I'll tell you is you need a statement API that you use to get reports. You'll be needing account query API. You'll be needing inter and intra bank API, which is transfer, debit, and credit. You need transaction query API. You will need account query API. Now, what I'm saying is you don't know them. But me as a product person, I'm able to tell you what you need to be able to make sure you solve that problem. And that is your product managers coming. So I know what you will need in terms of, oh, these are the APIs you'll be needed. All I need to do is tell the developers, this social clients, please provide them with the documentation for this API so that they can consume it on their own end. They will give them the test APIs. Once they're able to solve their problem, then we can push to prod. And that's the way it works. Yeah, I know it's not as simple as I'm making it sound, but it is very simple. Trust me. It's just a very good understanding of what make the process work as against the process is working. So when we were, as a consumer product manager, all I'm concerned about is my customer wants to be able to transfer money. How you people will do it, I don't know. How the money or what will make them be able to do that thing, I don't know. My own is provide me with the solution for my account, for my customers to be able to transfer money. But as a technical PM, you're saying, okay, no problem. You now have a session with the developer and say, what would they be needed? Oh, would we be needing to integrate this from a third party? Oh, who are the third party that can provide us with this? Then you are reaching out to those third parties and say, okay, let's have a B2B conversation. We want this. So provide us with these endpoints. We are able to now do this and we move on. And that is the beauty. And that is where REST API is coming to place. I hope I've not really lost you guys and made you even more confused. If you're more confused, it could be a good thing because Lab is going to be starting a session on technical product management on 23rd. You should actually join. It is a fun place to be at. So please, next slide. What are the benefits of the API? Okay, Mark, you've been talking API since. You've been telling us API would do this, API would turn $1 to £1. You've said everything. I beg, in simple English, how does API benefit my life as a product person? What are the benefits? What does it bring to me? So I want to ask the person that answered my pay stack question earlier this question. When you I hope you're there, right? Hello? If you're there, please let me know. Now, when you...
I am.
Okay, good. When you used the... sorry, give me 1 minute. Sorry, please, give me 1 minute, please. I want to pick something from the car. 1 minute. Okay, so as I was asking, it's outside. It's outside. He had gone. There's no security. Oh. All right. Sorry. Now, when you used the... It has started. No problem. When you used the API from Paystack, did it make your product efficient? Did you feel it added value to your product?
Well, I think the only value that he added is that because it was an international e-commerce site,
Okay.
and for us to be able to have local payment solutions, we needed gateway like Paystack. So the only thing that I would say he added was, for me to be able to do local transactions.
So if you said like the only thing it added, did you feel you could have done it differently without that API?
I could have probably gone to Flutter Wave. Right?
So you are not talking about their API now, you're talking about the merchant.
Yes.
But I'm not talking about the merchant. I'm talking about it could be Paystack, it could be Stripe, it could be Flutterwave, it could be Sizzle, anybody. But I'm saying the operation or the reason why you went to them was to do international and local transactions together, right?
Yes.
Did it accomplish that purpose? Did the API help you accomplish that purpose?
Yes, it did.
So would you agree that it allows for increased efficiency of your product?
Yes, it did.
And you agree with me that it also allows, it increased the efficiency of your services, it saved the time and the effort of your developer if you said they should develop it from scratch?
Of course. Otherwise, they would have had to develop it, would have probably taken another 6 months.
It would have taken. So it saves your time and it also is also efficient.
Yeah.
And APIs also help you to reach wider reach, which is what you just did. You wanted to do local and international transfer, right? Which is wider audience, bigger audience.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Now, APIs benefit is crazy. It's enormous. It's huge. And the only reason why it is like that is because we have more people to reach out to. We have more things we want to solve. Let me use one other illustration for APIs. Take API as Nigeria as its wife. It's a place where you want to collect. So we want to collect something from the president. In Nigeria, they'll tell you you need to know someone that knows someone that knows someone there like that, right? Now take API as the one person you need to know that can help you deliver a resource to the top and collect that resource back, deliver a request to the top and bring back the resource you requested to you without having to. You don't have to go to Aso Rock. You don't even have to know who the president is. So the API interfaces for you. So it gives you wider reach. It allows integration and personalization. So, and the funny thing is this. So the fact that I'm using your service doesn't make my product your product. It just makes me have a branch of you that works for me. You know, take it as someone that, let's say I need a kidney now. Let's just say hypothetically. Then someone here gives me a kidney. Let's say Blessing. I don't think she's gonna give me, but let's say Blessing. Let's say Blessing gives me a kidney, right? And I'm using Blessing's kidney. Does it make me a part of Blessing? No. But am I using a branch from Blessing to be to be alive? Yes, which is the thing that APIs does. So I'm not gonna say Blessing is not gonna say, oh, she owns me. No, you don't own me. I only have a part of you that I'm using to work, and at that point I take ownership of it because I would have paid a price for you to give me that part of you. Do you understand? And that is how API works. That is the concept behind it. That is what makes it beautiful. So the fact that they took resources from Paystack does not mean that their product is owned by Paystack. No. But yes, they are dependent on Paystack to be able to take that resource. They are dependent on Paystack to be able to access what Paystack can offer. Does that make sense? Now, finally, the last one is future ready. Now, APIs are future ready. Like, they are not looking at now. They are looking at the next thing to do. Because APIs is flexible, is scalable, it allows collaboration. You can monetize it. It makes your life easier. And that is where the future is. That is where we are going to. Next slide, please. Before we use your evening. Now, hey, this thing has scattered though.
Hello, sir.
You know what? Just let me to click on that box, then reduce the size. No, just click on the outside. That first, no, not that one, the second one. Great, thank you. Okay. Sorry, the whole thing just got messed up. Now, what is the relevance of APIs to TMs? APIs are highly relevant to technical product managers, to all product managers. It's just that some of us take I don't how what's that English now? Some of us are more involved in that part than the others. Do you understand? And because they play a crucial role in shaping functionality, integration capacity, and user experience of a product. Okay, for instance, let's say I'm building a product. I don't know, you don't want to give me an idea of the product, but let me give it. Oh, let's use thread. Thread. I guess everybody here is a tailor, right? Right. Let's use thread. Thread just came out last week now, so let's play with thread. Can we play with thread? Yes. Please respond. We should play with thread. I mean, let's use something that is trending. Now, imagine you are building a product. You are the one that is building thread as a product, right? You are the product manager. Now, I used to tell people product managers are the gods of product, right? So you're creating it. Yes, the designer will create the flow you've given them and the user journey. They'll be able to map it together, but you're creating it. Now, you are now creating a social media app. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're building an app, it means for every file we have, it has a size, right? You agree with me? Now, for every of these size, you put them together is what we have as a product, whether as a DMG or as an APK. DMG is iOS, APK is Android. So now, let's say this thread, you are the product manager on thread. Now, You now say for everything we have on thread, though, my people, let's be collecting the pictures people are uploading, the stickers, the memes. Let's be collecting it in our database. How heavy do you think the product will be? Nobody's answering me. Now, it will be very heavy and slow because the images, some of us, our phone, when you snap one picture, is 6 MB, 7 MB. It's going to somewhere. But most of these social medias, they use a CDN, a content delivery network. So it's the CDN that they are plugging into to say, okay, take our videos. Any video that is uploaded on our site, they are using that API to say, okay, send this video to this CDN. Let them be holding it. Why? We want our product as light as possible because you want to promote or you want to enhance user experience. You don't want a user to go on it and they are having a headache. So you are saying, you come, help me to carry this problem on my head, like someone that is not minding their business, while I enjoy my own life. And that is the beauty of API. So you look for people that are not ready to mind their business, that they can carry your matter on their head. And that's the layman way I can explain it that makes it make sense. Do you understand? Product managers can leverage on APIs to enhance functionality and value of their product by integrating popular tools, services, third-party platforms. So imagine Thread is 300 MB to just install, or imagine Thread did 2 million users and 5 million. Is it 2 million? 2 million users in 5 hours. Now imagine those 2 million people with all the pictures they uploaded is accumulating inside the new app you are downloading. Nobody will be using the Thread. Actually, the Thread will be a needle in a haystack. Do you understand? But there's a CDN. He said, no worries. All your pictures, they are putting it in somewhere. The Mark even went as far as saying, you know what? I can collect your pictures that you have in my previous what's the name called? In my previous pocket or in my previous DB, as you people may want to call it. Why? Let us make it as light as possible. Because the lighter it is, the easier it is for them to use. So this is not just about the time to value. This is not just about the retention rate. This is not just about stickiness. This is about, is it efficient enough? Now, if it's efficient enough, it will mean that the time to value will be decreased. And efficiency is what you are calling these guys for. Please come and help me. Help take this load off me. And that's what API does. API can use, product managers can use API to connect their product to other services and data sources, just like we've mentioned, which is what we are plugging into Paystack and the like. Now, as a PM, if you see terms or methods like get, post, put, delete, what do you think they mean or what's their use? I mentioned it earlier, they are simple English. What they mean in English is what it means in this block letter. Get, to retrieve a representation of a source. In simple English, to retrieve data. So if you're telling it, oh, you'll be getting, once they see that, if you put get in a payload, it means this, for this API, what you needed to do is collect something for me. So get blessings kidney. Now, post means create a new resource. It means I want to ask, or after I've gotten it, I want to fix it in that place. Do you understand? Because I don't have a kidney before. So I'm saying this new kidney that you have, this kidney I collected from Blessing, I'm posting it into this resource, the resource being me, now for me to use. Let's not say put is what I want to use. I have a kidney before, but because my mom told me I did not used to listen, so I kept smoking until it got damaged. I'm saying this kidney that I'm getting from Blessing, put it, which means use it to update what we already have before, to say, okay, well, this kidney, we are using it to update this one. So we are saying, instead of removing the two totally, we are removing one and we are using the one we collected from Blessing to just add to it to make it make sense. Do you understand? Then delete is saying, You know what? That guy just used to hear what? Just remove the kidney. Even the one you are collecting from blessing, don't bother collecting it. Just delete the one we have here. It cannot work. So whenever you see this type of kidney, just delete it. Just remove it. And basically, those are what. So when you see these commands or this method in front of a particular payload or a container, you can easily have the idea that okay, they are talking about blessings kidney. When you see get blessings kidney, they want to go and collect it. Post, that means there's no kidney there before. Put blessings kidney there. Put, that means the kidney that is there before is not working properly. Replace it or update it. Delete, it means don't worry, don't want any kidney. But anytime we see a trace of this type of kidney, just delete it. Does that make sense? To me, I think it does. But next slide, since I'm not seeing any response. Now, what are the commonly used API tools? We have tools for building APIs and we have tools for testing APIs. You would have seen Postman, SOAP, UI, Insomnia, JMeter, Newman. These are tools that we use to test API. The one in orange is Postman. The one in purple is Insomnia. This is SOAP. This is JMeter. And the one in orange, the one downward in orange is Newman. Now, Newman is in orange because at some point, Postman acquired Newman. Do you get it? Now, they are used to test APIs. So what you are using these tools to do is you would have seen them. So you see the whole syntax. I wish I could share an API view with you guys, but I can't because of reasons that are beyond me. But we would be able to share some API or create some APIs that we can play around with in the technical PM sessions and all. But now, testing APIs using Postman is to say, this API, you've created it. You say this API will do this thing. Before we put it inside our code, you put it on Insomnia and you put a particular parameter and say, okay, run this parameter. What will it return? So what you are testing is, you say that this API, you say if I do this thing, I'll collect blessings kidney. Okay, collect 6 kidney and come. But how many kidney does blessing has? Originally, you should be able to return error and say blessing has only 6 kidneys and 2 kidneys. Now, if it brings back 6 kidneys, you should call for help. That means it has gone and harvested kidneys from other people that we don't know. Do you understand? And that's the idea. So you're using these tools to test these APIs. Now, we use Swagger, Ruby on Rails, Django, AWS. AWS is by Amazon and Google Cloud Endpoint to build APIs. So the same way we use, as product people, we use Azure. Okay, no. We use Jira, ClickUp, Miro, Trello. Who else do we use? Donuts. Something donuts. Sorry, a lot of PM tools. The same way we use PM tools to manage product, to study, to monitor product lifecycle. The same way we have tools that we use to build APIs. I have worked with Swagger, I've worked with Ruby on Rails, and I've worked with AWS. I've not worked with Django, and I've not worked with Google Cloud Endpoint. But I've worked with these ones because at some point I needed to look at one or two things there. Are they things that I would need? Because I know questions will come like, oh, so I need to know coding and all. No, at times, what I'm only doing on these things is to say, okay, show me what you just built. Now run it for me. Then I do extensive test by saying, I do counter text. So if you tell me this thing is supposed to return 2 variables, I say, okay, put 3. I want to see the error report it returns. I want to see the error message and all of those things. So that's what I mean when I say I work on them. So don't start thinking, oh, this guy is a developer, I write code. I don't again. I used to when I was young, but now I'm old. Do you understand? So basically, Swagger, Ruby on Rails, Django, AWS, Google Cloud, they are different tools for building APIs. You can work with anyone. It's not as if one is exclusive to this one. So it's not like, oh, you can only use AWS to build Azure-like APIs. Nah. It's just the same way we use Dreamweaver, we use PHP Storm, Jets, and all of those things. It's just the same way we work alongside. So they are just different tools. So you can, any tool you work with is sweet. Next slide, please. I think this is where we are getting to the icing. I'm almost done. Trust me. I have so now payload versus API. I've mentioned payload since. What is a payload? Payload is the actual data that you want to collect. Payload is that thing that you are okay. Now, say for instance, when when they went to Paystack, they gave them an API. Inside the API is a documentation. APIs are mostly documentation. Inside that documentation, there's a particular line of that documentation that says remove 20 naira from primary account to remove dash 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 amount. Remove primary amount or transaction amount, yada yada yada, from A to B. See that line of code that is stating what you are pulling from where you are pulling to where you are pulling it to is a payload. Payload is take it as the context of the message. Like, okay, this is what we want to do. So let's go back to Blessing's kidney. The payload here is removing the kidney. So here we are saying we used, if you remember, we said post, put, get, delete, right? Now get is an action, is a method, right? And we are saying Blessing's kidney. So the specification of Blessing's kidney will now be either left or right. Blessing, I'm so sorry. Don't worry, your kidney assists. Both of them. But then, now the point where I'm saying get Blessing's kidney, we are not specifying whether it's the left or right kidney, right? The moment you're saying, okay, get Blessing's right kidney, that command saying, or the particular code that is carrying get Blessing's right kidney or blah blah. So you create a syntax, you declare the variable, you declare anything you want to declare from anywhere you want to declare it. But what you're trying to tell it is that left kidney that Blessing has, I want it. Get it for me. Right? That particular line is the payload. It's very specific. It won't go to let me say someone's name here. Sorry. Okay, hold on. It's not going to go to Kunle's kidney. Yeah. It's not going to go to Kunle or Christie's kidney. No, it's not going to go pick those kidney. It's going to go to Blessing's one. Why? The payload is what you're using to say, go bring that content. So it's the actual data. That's what a payload is. But API is the rule, is the protocols, is the one that is the mother that carries out that operation. It's the one that go and do that bridging. But what you choose, if we rewind a bit to when we talked about chef and waiter and you. Now, you're telling the waiter acted as an API to the chef, right, which is the web service. But you gave the waiter a specific order. That order is the payload. Ah, God, I like that. That order you're giving to the waiter is the payload. So the waiter who is the API now carries that order to the chef. So it will now return the resource requested from that payload, which is the order, to you. And basically, that is all. Do you get that? Please, next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. We're almost done. We're almost done. Next slide. Endpoint versus API. So what is an endpoint? Endpoint is the specific URL. Now, which one should we use? Blessing's kidney or waiter? God say now carry on.
Waiter.
We should use waiter, right? We should use waiter before they start thinking I love women, I harvest organs. That's true. Let's use waiter. So now now let's say we've said the payload is the order, right? Chef is the one carry, and the waiter is the API. Chef is the web service. They are following a particular line. I don't know if you get, like, there's an address. It doesn't have to be an house address, but there is a pointer to say, go and collect. You know, the order is, I want rice. Now, I give the order to the waiter, and the waiter is carrying it to the chef. But in the order, me as the person is saying, please get me rice from the chef. If you notice, there's a pointer to where I want it from, right? The end point is where I want it from, like where I want this data to be collected from is an endpoint. Already, you know that who is giving us the data that I want, or the resource that I want, is the chef. I know that who is carrying it is the waiter, which is the API. I know that the order I'm giving is the payload. The endpoint is where I'm taking it from, like the address, the specific location. So if you notice, when I was talking earlier and I said blessing, I mentioned only, I mentioned people's name. And I said, you're not going to take resources from, so if blessing is an API, Conley is an API, right? They're not going to take resources. I can't be calling the resources that I want from blessing in Conley. I would actually have to point to Conley to get the resources. Now, pointing to that person, which is an address, which is a specific location. Right? And I mentioned it earlier, I said APIs are specifics, right? The APIs are not, it's not saying, okay, I want an API from blessing, but if you do not say in blessing, anywhere you see, shall bring it. No. But I'm saying, if I want it from Conley, go to Conley, carry this order, which is the payload, Abby. Go and collect this thing from Conley, which is the web service, right? Conley here is the one providing us the heartbeat. But I'm pointing that location that I want it to is the endpoint. So something points to that location, and that is endpoint. Do you understand? If you read the last line here, it says an endpoint is a specific address within an API that corresponds to the specific operation or action. It's not a coincidence. It's not something that happens by chance. It's something that knows that it's going to happen. It knows that this thing that I'm looking for, I'll get it here. So it's not going A and B and C. It's going directly to where he wants to get it from. Why? Because I have pointed it to where it is going. So it's not working blind. It is working with direction. So it carries the payload, which is the order, to the chef and to the API, who then carries it to the chef, which is the web service, and gives him back. But I know that I want it from this particular chef. So in the case where I want to walk into a restaurant and we have 3 chefs, I can easily say the chef I want is Mark. So the API is not going and say which, what's the name called? Which chef will I give this to? You've pointed the endpoint to say, this thing that I'm ordering, which is the payload I'm giving to you, I want it from Mark. He's not going to go bring it from Conley. He's not even going to bring it from Olabanji. And that's the beauty of it. It is specific. It is dynamic. It is simple. It's scalable. It makes your life so easy. And that's the beauty of APIs. Trust me. Next point. Next slide. Yeah, in conclusion, we've come to the good part of it, where we have things that we can go on with after Mark has said a lot of things. First of, APIs are the vital component of modern software products and services. Don't forget about that. You consume APIs. You call endpoints. They are vital. They provide a way for different applications to communicate with each other. Yes. That's what API does. So we are committing their product. Let's say the name of their product is Innova Lab. it's communicating with a particular bag and a database at Paystack to say, we have these customers, they are making transaction, pull their money from them, hold it with you for a period of time, then send their money back to this our own primary account with no stress at a particular fee. Paystack will tell you, is it how many 0.5 now? I think, is it 2.5 plus if it's less than 2,000 naira, right? There about percent, right? So it's monetized. So they've gone through the stress to make our life easier. They allow product managers to integrate with external functionalities into their product. So you can integrate external functionalities, so which is like the one I just mentioned. By leveraging APIs, product managers can enhance their product with additional features and functionalities without having to build anything from scratch. You are not having to stress. You are not having to think, how do I want to start this? Hey, how long will it take us? Like he said that's going to take them extra 6 months. This is 6 months we don't have. How do we do this? Now, APIs enables product managers to create partnership and collaborations with external developers. So when they went to Paystack gave them a developer. A developer was assigned to them. They may not even relate to that developer, but trust that for every time they have an issue that they are raising, a developer is assigned to them to collaborate with them to make sure that they don't have problem, because they know that once they don't have problem, it's business for them. But when Elova is using Paystack, and Elova Lab in this case, in this context, is having an issue, so customers are not able to make payments, then you raise alarm and say, we are getting a disservice for the value we are paying for. And that's the beauty. The next slide. It is essential for product managers to have a good understanding of API concepts, such as authentication mechanisms, data format, rate limits, and error handling. Do you know that most times you need to call APIs for it? Let's say you would have had this experience, you've seen it before, where you want to log into an app and they say sign in with Google or sign up with Google. You did not create that part in your code. You only called the API to say, okay, let's impute the Google API also, so you can do autofill, so people can register using any of their already existing email. It's an email API. It makes your life simpler. It gives you more trust, because you feel, okay, it's their Google account they are using, so I can actually just import the data because you are using an email API. Again, this knowledge enables them to effectively communicate with developers. So you are able to understand the capabilities, the limitations of the API you want to integrate. You are able to say, this thing will not be able to do this. Or you can ask valuable questions. This thing we want to integrate, will it do A and B? No, it's going to do A, maybe a little bit of B. Do you have alternatives that can do A and B and even add a C to it? And you'll be like, okay, how long will it take? Let's make researches. And that is what API does for you. It makes you have wider range in terms of your mental capability to solutions. So when people come with the same problem you solved like multiple times, you see it as a cakewalk, because I've done this before. I know the moment they are talking, you know what API you guys will need to work with that will solve their problem. So right now, if I'm saying for Conlina, for instance, he's saying he has worked on an e-commerce product. If tomorrow he's working on that product and they need to make payments, because of the constraints they have had with Paystack, he can say, okay, let's use Flutterwave. But he's not saying let's use Flutterwave because they have a different API, but because the structure, the merchant, the business, they are different. They handle things differently. So he can relate and say, based on my previous experience with Paystack, yes, we know Paystack can provide us with a service for us to be able to move money out of an account and pull it back and all of those. Flutterwave does the same too. They are doing the same thing. But who do we want to go to? Or who do you want to go with? Let's go with Flutterwave. They are the enemies and they are the devil we know. Now, APIs also empowers product manager to create more robust and connected products. Yeah. So your product is not just limited, it's more robust. You are not overweighing your developers. Now, by leveraging APIs effectively, product managers can deliver innovative products, differentiated solutions that meet customer needs and drive business success. If you note where this line ends, it is ending at one thing, which is there is no product without customer, and there's no business success if the product is not meeting business needs. So while we have customer needs, which is the most important thing, which is what we do every day, listen to their need, listen to what they want. Put head in this product, put tail, put cow, put intestine, put everything, even put shaki and whatever. While you're listening to that, you're also understanding what you need to give them that, and you're making sure that you're staying in the loop, which is as much as you are meeting their need, you're not forgetting to meet the business needs. Because as a PM, you need to collaborate or meet or whatever English you want to use. You need to think with stakeholders, understand business needs, then align it with product needs and with customer needs, then put a balance in it, which is the product needs. Then you build an amazing product. Next slide, please. Please, next slide. Oh, really? Okay, I guess here is where I say with this viewpoint of mine, I hope I've been able to convince and not confuse you that API is an integral part of whatever product you're building, and you can become better product managers if you understand the technicals or the technicality as to how your product will deliver these needs that your customer have. Thank you. My name is Mark.
Right, that makes sense. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for. I don't know what you just did right here, but you. No, I know what you have done, right? But I can't find the right word to explain it. Like you broke everything into pieces, like you were saying at intervals. Like, oh, Mark, you scattered this thing. Like you scattered it, and you picked it up again and just started explaining. Thank you so much for this amazing session. Right. I mean, I understand what API is now. Like, if you ask me, I know I can, explain like, oh, this is what I know about API and this is what it does. And, it is an integral part of, products and the work of a product manager, of course. Right. So yes, we'll be taking questions. So if you have questions, this is what we'll do. You raise your hand so that we'll be able to take your questions, right? And if you have comments or you cannot speak wherever you are, you can just drop your questions in the chat box and Mark is going to do justice to those questions. So right now we have two hands up. Before I will take the ends up, I want to say that please, guys, today is, I don't know why I'm happy, but maybe it's because I understand what APIs are and their relevance now. Like, okay, we're happy. I don't know, I can't say, but yes, this session delights me so much because I'm really a fan of APIs, SDKs, technical part of things and all that. I just love to know about all of those things, and I don't know why I'm just happy about this. I don't know why not. But yes, guys, let's go to our social media pages to go and drop 1 or 10 things that we have learned from this session, because I'm sure you're not going back home or going back to your desk with one thing today. You might be going back with like 10 things. I am sure of that. I can beat my chest on that one because my note is full. So let's go to our social media pages to go and share the things that we have learned, and let's also tag Mark. Let's also tag InnovaLab. Let's tag InnovaLab at InnovaLab NG on Instagram, InnovaLab on Twitter, and InnovaLab on LinkedIn. Then you can tag Mark Yusuf on LinkedIn as well. Mark, would you want to share your Instagram handle and your Twitter handle? so that we can tag,
All
or
right.
LinkedIn is
I'll
fine.
do just. I'll do just that. I'll do just that.
Okay. So guys, watch out for Mark's Instagram and Twitter handle in the chat box. So yes, we're going to be taking the questions. It's a thread handle. You guys. All right, I'm just going to be taking the hand up. So Kule's hand is up. Hi Kule, good evening. Once again, let's have your question.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Thanks again for the presentation. It was quite insightful. So my question is pretty straightforward. Is it possible to use APIs to draw information from other platforms or websites without necessarily having a contractual agreement with the owners of the sites? Say, for instance, I am building a job board.
Okay.
And I don't want to start looking for jobs myself. So I just want to go to other job boards or other organizations and just pull their job information
Data.
onto my, yes.
Now, I think it's simple actually. The first thing you would consider is, are they, are these job boards open source? That's the English. Do you understand? Did they make their data open source? Do you get that question? Like,
yes,
when something is open source, it means anybody can go to it. So let's take, for instance, now, there's a very good instance here. If you check the comment, right, Blessing said, I won't give you any kidney in real life, Sha. Right, which means a kidney is not open source. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So I can't take that kidney and use it. Why? It is not available to use. I don't know if you get that. That is the simplest way I can use this. So we have some job boards that are open source. You see, if you would have heard that Twitter is open source, right? You'd have heard it multiple times, and there are some other products that are not open source. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, what it means is you can go to their developers portal, or their dev portal, whatever they have, then you call information, or you call for repos, or you call, and GitHub is open source. You can call from there. But let's say Enova Labs website now. Enova Labs website is not open source. So no matter no matter the number of pictures you see or the number of information you see, that you can't just pull anything to you. They'll tell you infringing or trespassing on private property. Do you understand? But once it's open source, see the beauty. If it's open source, it doesn't mean you still don't need consent. Because they still want to protect, data is life. They want to protect the life, and they want to protect the data of the people that are there. So yes, it's open source, but you still need to be granted access.
Okay.
Do you get that?
Yes, I do.
No, now, for instance, when you wanted to use, this is Conley, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, good. When you wanted to use Paystack, they did not give you the live key the day you went. Do you know? You may not have known. They gave you a test key. You would have seen SP_test key colon, then plenty numbers like this. Now that key is what you will put in your. That key is what you're putting in your payload to work with. Now, until they verified you, do you understand? And they said, okay, your account is fine. They've set you up complete. Then they now give you the live key. Do you understand?
Yes.
They gave you access. It's open source. You want to use our service? No problem. They'll give you the access to use the test one, not the live one, until they complete the verification on you. And the same way it is. So yes, if it's open source, it doesn't mean you don't need that authentication or that authentication is the word. Exactly. You get it, right?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Good.
All right. Thank you very much for that one. Let's have Abugu Victor. Victor, please go ahead to ask your question.
Good evening, Mark.
Good evening.
Mark, I really want to appreciate you for doing a deep dive into the essence of API. I never knew some certain things about API before, like the endpoint, the payload you made mention, and some other stuff. As you've just mentioned it, I'm noting it down. I will do research on my own to know more about it. It's an eye opener for me, and it also made me to understand that yes, in our journey as a product manager, API is an integral part of what we do. You know, I want to sincerely appreciate you for doing a justice to that, and also please, I want to beg you to share the slide to Blessing so that Blessing can share it to the team. We can have access to it and study it from time to time for reference purposes. Thank you so much, Mark, once again.
Oh, all right. And the slide is already with an overlap, right? So I think it's now going to be an in-house decision to do the sharing, and or I think Blessing would have a server that. But then, if you notice, because of the glitch my system had earlier, right? It's I normally the slide would have been sent before now. So because of well, yes, they would. I think they will communicate that with you guys. But again, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, guys, we're going to send the slides on the community. We have it, and of course, we're going to share it at when due. Yes, I think that fully answers Victor's question. Guys, do we have other questions? Do we have other questions? Other questions? Other questions? Okay. Taiwo Baptista is saying, Blessing, please confirm the community link, not direct into WhatsApp. Ugh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay, let me just reset the link and reshare the link. Right. Give me 20 seconds.
Okay. While Blessing is doing that, since this is a learning space, I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Can I ask? Yeah, I can ask, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think
The
I
link is
can.
also
I
in
think
the chat box.
I have like 2 more minutes. So I want to ask, right? In your own English, what do you think is the difference between put and post? The HTTP method put and post. What's the difference? I would have loved to give context, but that would mean I'm telling the answer. I can see everybody here. I will have to call names, right? Do I need to call names? I don't need to call names. I trust that I don't need to call names. Anybody? Can anyone hear me? Everybody just ran away.
Anybody?
Anybody post put?
I guess you explained it earlier. Maybe people didn't quite get it. Including
Okay. Let me tell you why I asked the question. I did not ask for them to give the answer, actually. I asked for them to know that as a PM, whether you're transiting into product management afresh or you want to be a technical product manager, you intend to switch niche, right? And while I'll be starting a technical product management, I'm becoming a technical product manager. It's a session that started on 23rd. And there we are going to have conversations about post, put, get, delete. A lot of other endpoints like Blessing mentioned, SDKs and the likes, right? Frameworks, libraries, and all. It's not writing code. You're not writing code, but you are just understanding what they say a code will do. So when they are telling you a code will do something, you are not saying, can you break it down further? When you're talking to the stakeholders, you're able to tell them in we are able to interpret technical term into English for them. Do you understand? You're able to take these old technical complex terms, you're able to change it into English for them. And that is what we intend to break down in the next 8 weeks in at Innova Lab as a technical product manager. So I want to see you there. I want to have this kind of session. I would be there. So I want to have that conversation with you. And I'm using this medium to tell you that whether you are an existing product manager or you are an incoming one or you are an already used feature that you want to have an upgrade on, right? You can be a technical product manager. It makes your life a whole lot easier. The market is wide. The market is going crazy. People want someone that could actually give more than just the entirety. And trust me, it is not platform product management. You're not writing codes. You are not just sitting down with codes. You're still doing the same thing you're doing as a product manager, but with a little bit of technicality into how you deliver this product. Someone raised their hand earlier.
No, I guess it was a mistake. Oluwasegun.
All right. So, guys, thank you for having me. I had fun.
Okay.
And
Right. Thank you so
yeah.
much. Thank you so much. So much, Mark. We can't thank you enough because trust me, I mean, I'm just short of words. Thank you so much. You gave this session live. I don't know about other people, but for me, did a lot for me and it's so insightful and somehow I don't know. I feel like we should just audit this session from going to YouTube. But yes, we're not going to audit. It's also be on YouTube because why not? Yes, guys, thank you so much for attending this session. It's been an insightful one. Um, yeah. Yes, like Mark has said, we will be starting our technical product management class on 23rd of July. And he has said virtually everything. I'm just like going over it again. It's an avenue for new product managers, existing product managers, featured product managers to, tap into their technical side of things. And like he said, getting into the technical part of product management makes your work easier, makes your life easier because you tend to understand what your developers are saying. They're not just giving you big words because you do not understand them. You would have to like, okay, I heard you, but because you have a technical knowledge about these things and how they work to an extent, your work will just be easier, deliverables will be easier.